who are wearing the change strip, white with the navy blue trim. Norway are in their home colours, the red shirts, the dark shorts and socks. The hosts get into a huddle and then break away from it ahead of kick-off in a game, Pat and Evan, that we've been very much looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, right at the end of the season, there may be tiredness as well. That sometimes leads to a good game. But the fact that everyone is thinking of one man above everyone else just now, I suspect Stevie Clarke's thinking something else. How do we damage that defence there? And Scotland have got enough attacking players to cause Norway quite a few problems today. This should be an open game.
21 international goals in his 23 caps before today for Erling Haaland. We're underway. Norway playing from right to left as we look down. Bit of shade has come in to cover the goal that Angus Gunn is occupying away to our left-hand side. And what has been a very warm day in the Norwegian capital. We may be a little bit, north in Europe. You mentioned it, Pat, earlier on, close to the Arctic Circle, but make no doubt the heat wave that has engulfed most of Western Europe is very much in evidence here too, and these conditions may well be a factor as the evening progresses. Strong header away by Ryan Porteous up towards the halfway line. Possession collected for Norway by Strandberg wearing number 4. His first ever international cap was against Scotland 10 years ago, Stefan Strandberg. His inclusion has been a surprise and has not been greeted warmly by supporters of Norway across social media and those we've seen around the stadium here today. Opening minutes in the Ullevall Stadium. And Norway still have possession of the back. Østigård, who picked up his Serie A League winners' medal in Italy this past season as part of the Napoli squad, gives it back to Strandberg, who's played a good ball down the right-hand side. Sørloth scamps after it, and Angus Gunn, very alert, comes to the edge of the penalty area and makes the save.
Intriguing the way Norway played that. They got the ball at the back, they had it for a good long time. I thought they would have gone long quicker than that. They didn't. They waited and waited and waited the moment till there was a bit of space there. Sørloth makes a good run down the right-hand side. A little bit too quick there, ball skidded off the ground. I don't think that skiddiness from the water is going to last a great deal of time here as it's burnt off with this heat. Norway
0, Scotland 0, early stages of this Euro 2024 qualifying game. Those finals in 12 months' time are going to come around very quickly, and Scotland want to be there. McTominay to the byline left-hand side. Looked like the ball had gone out of play before he crossed it, and it did. He's appealing that decision with the referee, but he didn't pick out a teammate anyway. Scott McTominay, who really had his shooting boots on in the March international break when he got 2 goals against Cyprus and then followed it up with 2 goals against Spain. And in his 37 caps before that, he'd only ever scored once for his country. Scotland fans just hoping that this new goal-scoring trend is going to continue.
Well, he's got forward there, and he's certainly seen as one of the 2 more defensive midfielders that Scotland have got, along with McGregor in there. But they're a hard-working side, and everyone gets behind the ball, as you can see. Scotland, when they're lining up, are not on the ball just now, out of possession. They've just got a back line of 5, haven't they? Just a straight back line of 5 for most of the time. I don't think that'll last. I think that's an early ploy by Stevie Clarke, just to see off the excitement that these Norwegians have got.
Right, I don't want to be accused of tempting fate here. I'm just reporting the facts as I saw them. In the warm-up, Erling Haaland was taking shots at goal, and mainly kids. You could tell by the sort of pitch of the voice, kids were cheering and roaring every time he scored a goal. However, Pat, he didn't score many.
No, he didn't.
He missed nearly, probably 30 shots. He scored about 2.
It looks as if he was slightly protecting himself, but I think his timing's quite good. I think he generally knows when to come to the fore.
Yes.
And we've saw it with Manchester City so many times this season. Few touches, but very important ones.
Yes, with Manchester City, he often has to be patient to get a touch of the ball. I don't think he's touched it in this game so far. We've played 3.5 minutes now. Østigård back inside his own half. The sun, which had just got in behind a cloud around kick-off, has come back out to bake down onto the playing surface as Ryerson comes forward on the right-hand side, glanced back into their own half to Stefan Strandberg, and now Lero Skiri Østigård, who's earning his 12th cap. Played 7 league games for Napoli as part of their league-winning campaign. Never played a senior game when he was at Brighton. Didn't seem to suit Graham Potter's style, who was the coach of the time. Left them last summer, but has done very well since going to Italy. Strandberg has it again, this patient pattern. And again, the patience being matched by Scotland, Pat, because there's no urgent pressing in this heat. They're allowing the Norwegian central defenders to have it in their own half.
Yeah, and there's a comfort about that, because Scotland did exactly the same thing against Spain at Hampden Park. So, OK, you've got the ball, you have to break us down, you have to do something very, very special. And they do look comfortable with that, and the fans kind of get it as well. And what they do know, that Scotland are very good in the break. McGinn is phenomenal in the break, coming from deep areas. We know McTominay recently has been pretty good as well. So it's that period of holding off, but if you hold off then there's a goal, then it's a difficult one to come out of. But Haaland's started moving again.
Haaland got his first touch there, laying the ball off to Solbakken on the left-hand side. Haaland sprinted into the penalty area and then almost looked with an accusation at Solbakken to say, hang on, I've given you the ball, I've made the run, why haven't you played me the pass? And of course he's used to the rapid-fire thinking of his Manchester City colleagues. Possession with Norway, who've dominated it so far. Action is near the centre circle. Not a good touch from Østegård, but enough on it to go back to Nyland, whose clearance right-footed goes down the right wing. Julian Ryerson chases it to the byline right-hand side. Held up by Kieran Tierney, and good defending from Tierney, the Arsenal defender, seeing it out for a goal kick to Scotland away to our left. Norway 0, Scotland 0 on 5 Live for the BBC.
What the Norwegians are trying to do quite early on, which is maybe slightly surprising, they're going down Scotland's right-hand side because they think there's a weakness there. But in the Scotland I've got down that left-hand side, Robertson and Tierney, there shouldn't be that many weaknesses, but maybe it's the height thing. They are not two of the tallest players in the world. And Ryerson is flying down there, and Soloth on the right-hand side. That's certainly one of the ploys that Norway are starting with.
Scotland's home form, which has been so strong lately. Steve Clarke's side unbeaten in the last 8 home games. They've won the last 5 in a row. And Clarke says that the next stage now for his team is to start picking up points in these big away games. And certainly they've shown on home soil that they're well capable of taking on the big names in any group. Throw in for Scotland, just taken by Porteous, who gets good length and distance on it up towards Lyndon Dykes. Good leap from Østegård to win it back for Norway, but Scotland regained possession. Jack Hendry into Kieran Tierney, short to Robertson, who plays an accurate camp ball to John McGinn. Challenged by Patrick Berg from behind. McGinn goes down. Free kick to Scotland on the halfway line.
We have watched John McGinn do that once or twice in his career, have we not? You know, holds the ball and just waits for the hit and goes down. And it just shows you that the Norwegians totally different from Scotland. They go try and close down when Scotland have possession along their back line. Totally the opposite from the way Scotland have started.
Yes, from a sporting point of view, John McGinn's backside is a very important part of his toolkit. He uses it to very evident effect when trying to shield possession, but he crumpled easily there, knowing he would get the free kick from Patrick Berg. The sun seems to have been turned up. Someone's turned up the dimmer switch, and it's even brighter now down onto the pitch. There's a poor touch there from Frederik Aursnes, who plays in Benfica. Used to be in the Netherlands with Feyenoord. Actually, he technically won 2 league title medals last season, because he started with Feyenoord and they went on to win the Eredivisie, and he finished the campaign with Benfica and they won the league in Portugal. So a player who's been used to success this season, but that wasn't a good touch, and it's gone out for the Scotland throw, which Aaron Hickey has taken. What a last 12 months Hickey has had. Fantastic player to watch with Brentford and for Scotland, as Birger Milling wins the ball off Dykes. And it's cleared away by Strandberg. Flicked on awkwardly by Solbakken. Cushioned header down by Haaland near the halfway line. Berg pumps it high over the halfway line, and then Hendry is able to win the header, but he can't pick out a teammate. Now, this is promising for Norway, as Østegård gets to within 15 yards of the Scotland penalty area. Support to his right from Ryerson. To the byline right-hand side. Swings in across. There's no one on the end of it. And it'll be kept in play by Mealing, who's up from left back. He's got little room to manoeuvre down by the corner flag. And challenged by Ryan Christie, the ball goes out for what Norway want to be a corner. And there's a dispute as to whether it's going to be a corner or a throw-in. Throw-in to Norway, and a few boos from the home fans who wanted to get the corner kick. The referee is coming over. Referee from Slovenia, Matej Juk, is in charge this evening.
There's 2 balls in the pitch there, so I think the referee understands that's probably slightly unfair on defenders. So he's just going to bounce the ball. give the Norwegians a chance to play again.
Yeah, we mentioned there's a question as to whether it would be a throw or a corner, and two different ball boys provided both options. They gave one for a throw and one of them placed it for a corner. Cross comes in from Auchness again. That's not threatening Scotland, and it drifts and sails beyond Angus Gunn and out for a goal kick to Scotland. 0-0 with almost 10 minutes played here. Norway fans bouncing up and down in the heat, in the shade of it, I should say, to the left-hand side, whereas the Scotland fans to our right have got the sun blazing into their faces. Back to the cricket, back to Eleanor Oldroyd and 5 Live.
255 for 5 Australia there, 138 runs behind England at the moment. We've just seen a 4 and a 6 in succession from Alex Carey off Moeen Ali. He's going off for a bit of a break. Harry Brook is going to come on for England. 4 overs to go till the new ball. Australia 255 for 5 with Khawaja on 110.
Thanks very much, Ellie. After this game is finished in Oslo, we will have the Ashes phone in on 5 Live from the TMS team, and we'll give you out the phone number details later on, but that will be around about 7:30. This is 5 Live, 10 minutes played in sunny Oslo, at the end of the Oslo fjord. And Norway, despite the superstars in their squad, looking for a first win in the group. McTominay hustling in midfield and taken away from him by the blonde-haired Berger Mealing. Ostergaard looks up and spots that Royce in a space on the far side.
At this point in time, it's probably worth talking about something we haven't got into. The point's not a bad thing for Scotland. It's early days to talk about that. We're only 10 minutes gone. But there's no reason why Scotland should push this early on. If they need to change the game plan and be much more offensive. Now, I'm not saying they're playing directly for a draw just now, but at the moment, there's not really been any threat from Scotland, has there? Actually, that's been polite. No. There has been no threat at all from Scotland so far.
Strandberg goes long in around the top of Solbakken, who will sprint in ahead of Hickey, but beating them both to the ball. Angus Gunn, wearing bright yellow, came sprinting out of his penalty area to boot it out for a Norwegian throw-in on the left-hand side. Scotland have won the first 2 games, beating Cyprus and Spain. You've got to go back to the qualifiers for Euro 2008 under Walter Smith. For the last time Scotland won their opening 3 qualifying games for a major tournament. Strandberg in the centre circle, short to Martin Odegaard, who by his standards has been relatively quiet. He's only had a few touches in the game, the Arsenal captain. What a campaign he had, 15 goals for Arsenal. Now Haaland for the first time gets it in the penalty area. Back to goal, however. Turns, takes a few touches, rolls it for Solbakken, who veers infield. Back to Fredrik Auchness once again. Norway have been pushed back towards the centre circle here, and Scotland will be pleased with that as they just force their opponents back.
Yeah, it's the first time that he's managed to isolate anyone. Haaland got on that right-hand side. He kept very close to him, didn't he? It was Henry, wasn't it? Really sensible, didn't dive in, strong as he possibly could. But what a difference in the noise as soon as Haaland comes on the ball. It's incredible.
There's the buzz of energy. These fans who, many of the younger ones might never have seen him in the international shirt before. That's a good ball in. That's a header by Surlot. Straight to the keeper, and Angus Gunn makes the save. Best chance of the match so far. 12 and a half minutes played, and Surlot's header, had it been either side of Angus Gunn, Norway might well have been in front.
Had it been out, Haaland had got the header. He was only 2 yards away from it. But you think that's going to be their best chance, Norway. Get into good positions, get a good cross in. They've got such tall, strong strikers in there. But that's poor marking. Very poor marking.
Just some ooze there as Leo Ostergaard takes a heavy fall onto the deck. We're seeing a replay of that chance again. Haaland was right behind Alexander Surlot. If Surlot hadn't headed that, Haaland would have had a chance. Mind you, Robertson was trying to stick as close to him as he could. Alexander Surlot, who has scored 5 goals in his last 6 qualifiers, he's not the player we saw in England with Crystal Palace and that spell in Cardiff. He's a proper striker these days. He plays in Spain with Real Sociedad, and that was a chance that he might rue not taking. Another long ball goes too far in front of Solbakken.
But isn't that a striker's dream situation? You're 6 yards from the goal. It's not as if the ball's been dollied in there. It's been zipped in there. It's straight as his head. There is nobody marking him. And he just puts it straight at the goalkeeper. He doesn't even put it down. So, from a striker's point of view, he's looking at himself and thinking, I've blown that one. That was a brilliant chance.
Alexander Surlot, who scored 16 goals for Sociedad. They'll be in the Champions League next season as a result of their strong campaign. And Leo Skiri Ostergaard, who's a no-nonsense defender, just forcefully goes into a shoulder charge on Ryan Christie there and bangs the ball from short range off the advertising hoardings as he puts it out of play. Scotland in possession, almost quarter of an hour played, no goals in Oslo. 5 live for the BBC. Gunn chips it out very accurately to Robertson. However, the flag goes up. Now, Robertson's standing on the sideline there. It's adjudged to have gone out for a throw. And that's very strange.
Well, he also claims that it came off the head of Sorlock in front of him. The assistant referee.
So if it did go to play, it should be a Scotland throw.
Yes, exactly. But having said that, the assistant referee's in a slightly better position than us. He's right over there on the far side, looking all like. But it was odd that should go out.
We will give him the benefit of the much better view. Myself and Pat speaking to you, by the way, from one of these, and I do like these old retro commentary boxes. This stadium, which was originally built in the 1920s, and it's been given plenty of restoration over the years since then, but there's still a nice old world feel about this commentary box with a glass window that we've tried to open as far as we can to get a little bit of breeze in as Norway come on the attack again down the right-hand side. Alexander Sørloth, who's earning his 48th cap this evening. For Odegaard, it's his 50th cap for his country. He's only 24. His international debut, Odegaard, was when he was only 15. His senior international debut. That's a nice build-up. Kneeling to the D, but no room to shoot. And McGinn is able to nip in and regain possession for Scotland. And then he tries a little turn, and he didn't have the room for that. And John McGinn has given it away. Roars of encouragement from the Norwegian fans. Not a good ball in, though, from Solbakken. Headed away by the Scottish defence, who really are playing as a flat back 5 here. Odegaard picks it up midway inside Scottish territory. No easy pass forward, so he turns and rolls it back to Ostergaard, and he'll send possession down the left-hand side. Ouchness back into the middle again to Strandberg, who's got a bit of space, and he rolls it for Julian Ryerson, who plays for Dortmund. He was brought in by the German club in January to replace the injury-prone Thomas Meunier. 25 years of age, Julian Ryerson, very good player, likes to get forward. Scotland will have to keep their eye on them, but they do have Robertson and Tierney on that side, so Steve Clarke is well equipped. Ostergaard has it again. Halfway line, no pressure.
We've been talking about Scotland. It's 70%, 30% possession at the moment for the Norwegians. Actually, I thought it was more than that just by looking at it, but that's what the stats say just now. But the disappointing thing for Scotland is fans that, you know, the players that Scotland want to get on the ball on the left-hand side, like Robertson, Tierney, really good at attacking down the left-hand side. They've not even got a sniff of getting over the halfway line yet. But, you know, early days, and of course, this system and this tactic worked against Ukraine away from home and Spain at home.
This is Patrick Berg, who is back playing in Norway again with the league leaders Bodo Glimt. He had a spell in France with Lens not so long ago. Solbakken again on the left, double step over. But Hickey wasn't buying any of it. Ball to the byline's good. Ryerson's arriving. Low ball in. It's going to fall into Odegaard on the edge. Takes a touch to control. Really good defending. Ryan Christie stood up in front of him, and I think it was McGregor who made a block as Scotland clear away, but Dykes can't receive. That was good defending, but it needed to be. Norway are looking increasingly dangerous on the attack. 0-0.
Yeah, it's gone to a stage now, 15 minutes in, where, okay, held out, just about got to the 20-minute mark. Now Scotland got to play a little bit more. You can see the bravery and the confidence of the Norwegians building all the time.
Good header. Touchdown by Sørloth. Odegaard runs along the edge of the D. Now Solbakken into the penalty area. And it's prodded away by Ryan Porteous. Well, the referee had already blown his whistle, and he's given, I think, a free kick to Norway.
He might be looking at the VAR. He might have a wee thought about that.
He did, and then immediately has waved play on. So I think there was a very quick word in his ear from the video assistant referee, who's also from Slovenia, Niki Kacevic. This is Ostergaard for Norway, who, you know, we're mentioning all the possession they have. They're pushing up and pushing up all the time, and every single one of their outfield players there were inside the Scotland half for a moment. Ryerson on the far side in the orange boots. Back to Strandberg. Oh, poor pass. Giving it away to McTominay on the halfway line. Can Scotland capitalise on this? Dykes back to McGinn, back to Robertson.
It's straight back though, isn't it? Scotland in a good position there. They got possession and given to them really quite high up the field. And instead of saying, right, OK, let's get this chance to attack, the first look was defensive. Straight back, left wing back, centre back, and it slowed any chance of Scotland had of making an attack.
If you're just tuning in to our coverage here on 5 Live from Oslo, this is Group A. Scotland top of the group, but Norway have had by far the best chance of the match so far. Sørloth should have scored, sent his header straight at the goalkeeper Angus Gunn, who's still not conceded in his senior international career. Porteous, calming, short ball in the midfield to Callum McGregor, who turns and picks out McTominay, who'll now drive on towards the edge of the Norwegian penalty area. Support outside was provided by Robertson, who's happy to run forward knowing that Tierney will cover for him. Here's a chance to put it back from the byline, and it comes off the defender Strandberg, and Scotland have got their first corner of the evening.
Did I tell you something about the first 20 minutes? That's 20 minutes, 2 seconds we're at now. Scotland's thought, right, OK, we'll manage that. Yeah. You can tell that's the way Stevie Clarke runs his team. Look, hold on to it. They're going to run themselves. They're going to be excitable at the start. And then the hope is for Scotland that it can start coming into the game. And that's the first decent looking attack you've had. And no surprises down that left-hand side.
Norway bring everyone back to defend it. Haaland's inside the 6-yard box. Delivery in. The attempted flick from Dykes is... He was running out away from goal. He tried to flick it off the back of his skull. It's kept in play by Tierney here. Right wing position for Scotland. The Arsenal player sends in a decent cross, which is going to sit up here for McGregor, but rather than play it back into the penalty area, he chose to lay it back to Robertson, who now pumps it long. Good header down by Tierney, and Scotland are going to get another corner. Corner on the right-hand side. This is the end. The Tartan army are behind, and they're enjoying this new attacking momentum from Steve Clarke's team.
It's like a flick of a switch, isn't it? It's really strange. You watch Stevie Clarke's teams do that, and they say they've not got a plan, they've got a set of plans, but it's whether they can keep this going. It's another corner kick, another half chance.
Corner's going to be taken by John McGinn, who's the top scorer in this current Scotland squad. Leans back as he sends it in, curling too close to the goalkeeper, and Ørjan Nyland is able to make a comfortable save wearing bright luminous green away to our right-hand side.
Of course, it's almost like the boxing match when you get a little bit of a, you've been in top, you've been pushing your opponent against you get a counter punch and it makes you think, oh dear, I need to watch out for that, and it feels a little bit like that. So intriguing the way the tactics are in Scotland. I wouldn't be surprised if they sit back again for a little while, but it's put a question in the minds of the Norwegians.
Jack Hendry is on Erling Haaland watch. Every time Haaland takes a step to his left, Hendry takes a step to his left. He's been given the chaperone responsibility. Porteous to his right, Tierney to his left to mop up anything else. Here is Tierney making a good interception. Plays the pass to Liverpool's Andy Robertson, who'll come with good pace here, attacking the penalty area down the left-hand side. Goes around Ryerson. Lovely ball in. Miscontrolled by Ryan Christie. What a chance for Scotland. In the end, it's hoovered up by Nealon, the goalkeeper. That was excellent from Robertson down the left-hand side.
Again, it's that understanding. It's either Tierney or it's Robertson. One of them goes, one of them stays, and they fly forward. And it'd be so incredibly dangerous since they've managed to work out how to play together. Either was playing left or right early on in Stevie Clarke's career as a Scotland manager, but now you look at it, they are completely interchangeable on that left-hand side and very dangerous.
Andy Robertson's 63rd cap for Scotland here today. He's the most experienced player in this current Scotland squad, but he looked at his best there, the way he motored past the Dortmund defender Julian Ryerson, left him for dead. Here's Strandberg again, another pass that doesn't find its intended target, but Norway pick up the second ball. Sørloth into the penalty area. Tierney's got to be careful. Sørloth breathing down his neck, and not much else that Kieran Tierney could do but run it out of play for a corner. Corner to Norway. Odegaard already going out to take it. We're midway through the first half. This competitive game, Scotland seeing more of the ball now, but Norway still with a big attacking threat.
Yeah, certainly a very good defending there from Kieran Tierney, as you say. But for Scotland, it is a danger. Set pieces, when you consider the power, the firepower that the Norwegians have got here. Good quality ball, and then we know that the likes of Haaland are almost impossible to stop if the ball's good enough.
Haaland is standing near the penalty spot. Porteous falls to the ground, and I think he's insinuating that Østigård had pushed him. all sorts of jostling. It was quite a dramatic sort of salmon leap, flopping back on his back there from Ryan Porteous, and there's all sorts of shrugs and accusing looks from Norwegian defender. Yeah, look, there's a push at his chest, but he's dramatically gone down to the deck there. Referee having a word with both players, Østegård and Porteous, the two number 15s, as Ødegaard still waits to take this corner.
Do you know, you mentioned Østegård beforehand, and your first comment about him was no nonsense, and we know the connotations of that. It's a bit excitable.
He's got the shaven head. He looks mean and lean, does Østegård. Here comes Ødegaard's delivery, bending in towards Gunn. Good goalkeeping. Angus Gunn catching it high above his head.
I mean, it's early days in Angus Gunn's career for Scotland. He's hardly put a foot wrong. He looks comfortable. Ball's played into the middle like that. If you know your goalkeeper is going to come out and collect him with no fuss whatsoever, what a lift it gets to every defender around him.
Coming into the March internationals, the last international break, all three goalkeepers in the Scotland squad were uncapped. Angus Gunn got the nod, played against Cyprus, played against Spain, 2 clean sheets. And at club level with Norwich, he did have the highest save percentage in the championship this past season.
Do you think he goes home to his dad sometimes and said, "I thought you said this international football is hard"? 2 clean sheets.
Early days, but he's looked really, really well. McTominay makes another interception, and again, Stefan Strandberg, and this is a weakness, he continues to give away the ball.
It is very noticeable. He's not that comfortable on the ball. I mean, they're good defensive markers. I mean, they are, tackling, they are closing down, they are winning headers, they're giving Dykes no space at all. But with the ball at the feet, they're just as likely to give it to a white shirt as a red one.
Berkermeling was cut late by Ryan Christie. Pass had long gone when Christie came barrelling through him, and that's going to be a free kick to Norway. It's going to be a little talking to from the Slovenian referee for the Bournemouth player. Free kick to Norway as we go back to the cricket in Eleanor Oldroyd.
And England will have 14 overs this evening with the new ball, which has just been taken. Australia 264 for 5. They trail by 129 runs. Could have been for 6. Alex Carey just giving a tiny little edge through to the keeper off Joe Root, but Johnny Bairstow just spilling it, the second mistake that he's made after a misstumping earlier. Carey's on 26, Khawaja 112, Australia 264 for 5.
And you can watch today at the Test on BBC 2 at 7:25 this evening, just about when this game ends. This is Ødegaard outside the penalty area, the Norway attack. He's got the support of Patrick Berg. Berg had his head up looking for a pass, and he's given it away to John McGinn here, who'll surge up towards the centre circle, leaves the ball behind him, which rolled nicely for Ryan Christie. And now Robertson, and again that calming motion where he decided this is not one of those times to surge forward, and he's held onto the ball, and a short pass into McTominay. Scotland, who are playing literally with the sun on their backs. It'll be in the face of the goalkeeper, Neeland away to our right hand side, but mercifully for the Scotland players, to the back of their heads as they come forward. This is Jack Hendry, short ball to Ryan Porteous. Another inexperienced international Porteous, but he's looked so good for Steve Clarke since breaking into the team. Straight back to Eleanor Oldroyd. It's a wicket of the cricket.
Yes, second ball with the new ball, and Stuart Broad has dismissed Usman Khawaja. Clean bowled. Hold that. It was a no ball. Connor, sorry. I got us all excited. Khawaja's still there on 112 because Broad overstepped. He's just having a conversation with Mare Erasmus, but that is the call. 265 for 5 still.
Thanks, Eleanor. 28 minutes played in Oslo. 0-0 here between Norway and Scotland. Pat Nevin.
Well, we just had a moment there which I'll tell you about in a second.
Here's a good surge. Ødegaard to Haaland in the penalty area. First touch wasn't clinical. It's fallen to Ødegaard again. Haaland tried to take on the defender with his first touch, but it ricocheted off a knee. Mealing will get it to the byline left-hand side. Hangs in across. Searle onto the back post. Plenty of power, but the angle's too tight, and it careers off target for a goal kick to Scotland. Only the second time in the match that Erling Haaland has had a touch inside the Scotland penalty area.
But a moment before, when we were at the cricket with Eleanor, there was a moment where Haaland got away, and he got away from a defender, and it was a classic moment of, had Kevin De Bruyne been on the ball, he would have been given the ball. He would have been on the Scotland goalkeeper gun with a 1-on-1. But it's that quality behind him, being able to play that through ball. It's not quite there apart from Odegaard in this team so far.
First time these nations have met in a decade. Scotland did lose their last visit here to this stadium. That was back in 2009. It was a heavy margin to a 4-0 victory for Norway. And this game has been tight so far. Norway with the most of possession. But Scotland's defence holding firm. And Angus Gunners really only had one proper save to make. It was a very important one, and he did make it.
Well, I mentioned that before. Scotland have had a lot of clean sheets recently. They've not given away many goals. But you look deeper, and they're not giving away many chances generally during their games. I understand sometimes that will happen. But what Scotland do have to do is try and create something, you know, 1 or 2 half chances so far in the game, but no efforts on goal from Scotland, I don't think.
And Steve Clarke's team have only conceded 2 goals in their last 6 competitive matches. Norway have possession. Ryerson on the right-hand side. Strandberg, short, easy pass. He's had so many intercepted. Another short ball from him to Fredrik Aursnes. Strandberg again, and he doing that motion when central defenders wave the arm in towards themselves. They don't like the options available. They want people to make runs into more obvious positions. This is Schürrle on the right-hand side, just coming out from a little shaded patch into the sunshine in Oslo. Ostergaard leaves it for Birger Mealing. Regular in the team on the left-hand side of the defence, the Rennes defender. Now it's played long towards the edge of the box. Sørloth's cushioned header down. Aursnes. Chance for Odegaard, shoots in low, but Porteous gets his shins in the way, and he makes the block, and Scotland clear it away. And a heavy fall for Ostergaard, who looked to be climbing over the top of Lyndon Dykes. Referee says play on. Dykes was appealing for a free kick.
It's very noticeable. I mean, that should have been a free kick all day long. However, it's noticeable when that ball was coming out of the sky. Neither player could see it well. It was coming straight out of the sun. And at the moment, that is a real difficulty for defenders, but also for the likes of Dykes as well. But at the moment, you know, Scotland still holding up. It's one of those ones, it looks like a mature display by Scotland until you lose a goal, and then it looks like a bit negative. But so far, they haven't lost a goal.
Yes, Pat mentioned that sun in the eye. You can see the ever elongated shadows stretching away from the players' bodies. It's a evening sun. We're an hour ahead here. It's 6:30 in the evening, local time. And
the sun will be going down soon in about a month.
Yes, this time of the year never gets fully dark in this part of the world. This is Callum McGregor to Kieran Tierney, midway inside his own half. Good accurate ball to Andy Robertson. Now he decides this is one to surge at. Robertson to within 10 yards of the penalty area. Plays it in just in front of Lyndon Dykes, who was well patrolled by Ostergaard. Dykes tried to make a penetrating run. Ostergaard, bodyguard-like motion got in his way, and Dykes unable to get on the end of Robertson's cross. But again, promising from Scotland. When they do come forward, Steve Clarke's team are looking dangerous.
And it's always on the left-hand side, isn't it? Dykes was well marked there. The ball on was Christie. Christie coming from the deep areas, and that's where Scotland generally are very good. You know, you've got certainly Christie coming into those areas, but you've got McGinn coming into those areas too, and now and again McTominay as well. And it's just a shame that the ball was aimed towards Dykes, who was well marshalled.
This is 5 Live for the BBC. Group A of qualifiers for Euro 2024. Later on in this group, Cyprus played Georgia this evening. Spain, the other team in the group, not involved today. You look at the games coming up. Scotland will play Georgia at Hampden on Tuesday, and in September there's a friendly against England. That'll be tasty in Glasgow, and the away game in Cyprus, and Scotland due to travel to Spain in October. If they could get the win here, make it 3 wins out of 3, 9 points on the board. What a position Steve Clarke's team could be in by bedtime tonight. Neeland with a unnecessary mistake has skewed a clearance out for a Scotland throw. Cue, big cheer for the Tartan Army. Still 0-0.
But it's a horrible pass back. It's passed back almost from the halfway line, but it's bouncing about 6 foot in the air. Sun in the eyes. Everything about that's wrong. If you're a goalkeeper, it's probably on his bad foot as well. So, as an old manager used to say, everything in his favour was against him.
Right, it is Ryan Porteous' time. He's come forward to take a long throw in down the right-hand side. Scotland have got 6 players in or on the penalty area. It's thrown to Ryan Christie, leaning back as he sends in a left-footed cross. Robertson in the penalty area. Did well to touch the header down for McGinn, and McGinn hit it first time, but straight into Stefan Strandberg, who clears it away.
That's actually a half-decent chance there. He did everything right there, McGinn. Keeps on target, keeps it low. Good blocking defensive move there. That once again, Scotland worked very hard on their set plays in the final third. Everyone was expecting the ball to go in early. It didn't, and it led to that good chance.
John McGinn, who has had 4 goals for Scotland in the last 12 months. He scored in 2 of the last 3 games. Scored against Cyprus in March. Scored in November in a friendly. Only managed to score 1 goal for Aston Villa this past season, John McGinn, but he's a regular scorer for the national team. Here he is again. That's a good ball into McGregor, who tries the back heel for Tierney, and it doesn't quite come off, and now Scotland need to get numbers back, and that's an important challenge. Robertson in on Alexander Sørloth. He's claiming the last touch came off the Norwegian, but had Norway booted it forward, Haaland was in a very good position there, and that increased the importance of Robertson ensuring that the host didn't clear.
Well, that's a real shock, that. The Scotland was so excited there. They left Haaland 1-1. Nobody leaves Haaland 1-1 up the field. You need a little bit of support either in front or behind him there, and you're absolutely right. All that needed was a hoof.
10 minutes to go to half-time. Scotland increasingly growing in confidence here as the little mistakes continue to hamper Norway's progress. Kneeling to the miscued clearance a moment ago. Leo Skiri Østigard had just misplaced a pass there and put it straight out for a Scotland throw, and much frustration for Ståle Solbakken, the Norwegian coach.
That's Strandberg and Østigard are doing that. They're not under any pressure there. Yeah. Just passing the ball straight out of the park.
Ståle Solbakken, who played for the old Wimbledon in the late 90s. Managed Wolves briefly back in the 2012-2013 season. He didn't last a full campaign. And in this job in charge of Norway, he's only lost 6 of his 24 games in charge, but the failure to reach the World Cup in Qatar means that Solbakken is under pressure to perform well in this group. But Norway, 2 games in, this is their 3rd, are still waiting for a win in the group. Robertson on the attack down the left. Liverpool player hits the deck as Ryerson comes in behind, and the referee waves get up and wasn't convinced that Robertson had been fouled. This is Sørloth, still midway inside his own half, gives it short to Martin Ødegaard, the captain of both Norway and Arsenal. Ødegaard is fouled. This time it is a free kick. John McGinn sees yellow, and a big cheer from the Norwegian fans as a Scotland player is booked.
He's left too much in there. Just a few more, well, about 15 minutes ago, Christie did exactly the same thing, didn't he, over on the near-hand side? No necessity to do that. Left too much on them. I don't think McGinn can complain there at all. That's a pretty clear yellow card, and it's a silly one. There's no benefit to that. That's just a little bit of frustration because the referee's not giving the free kicks that Scotland expect to get themselves.
John McGinn, the first player to see yellow in the game. 0-0 in sunny Oslo. As Mealing comes forward on the left-hand side. Good running from Ryan Christie to block his path forward. Then a long ball from Østigard, miscontrolled by Sørloth. Robertson with a wonderful slaloming run, veers away from 3 defenders and plays a great pass to McTominay. Now 3-on-3 for Scotland. McTominay through the middle, just ran out of steam as he reached the edge of the penalty area. Østigard timed his lunge well and won possession back for Norway.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He just ran out of legs there. But Scotland had got themselves 3-3. I think McTominay in another time would have just passed that wide. But if you're on the scoring run that he's on, he's thinking, I'm going to go all the way here. Sadly, he didn't have the legs to do so.
Scott McTominay, who scored 7 goals for club and country this past season. Most recent one for Manchester United was against Everton in April, but 2 goals against Cyprus, 2 goals against Spain. He's been a huge part of Scotland's success, being top of this Group A for now. Sørloth, tall, naturally central striker who's operating as a right winger to accommodate Haaland in this team. Patrick Berg, backheel by Ryerson is not good, straight to Robertson. Scotland regain possession, down goes McGinn. Back up to his feet again, and then he goes down a second time, and this time The whistle blows. John McGinn gets the free kick and he says, well, hang on, if I got a yellow card a minute ago, why isn't another one shown here? But the referee says free kick is enough.
I think he was kicked about 3 different times by 3 different players, but because early on in the game he tried to get that free kick by putting his body between the ball and the player, and the referee just wasn't.
Welcome back to Edgbaston. Sorry, Steve. 272 for 5 is the score. I seem to have just lost the line to Norway there for a moment. We'll get that back as quickly as we can.
You beat me
Steve,
to the button there.
I'm just sitting watching the cricket.
No, not at all. I enjoy watching the cricket. We were listening in, and then the line suddenly disappeared, and you were very calm, and I won't lie, I panicked, nearly knocked over about 5 drinks. But here we are.
Water nearly went all over your brand new laptop.
Oh, we can't do that. It's exactly the same as Steve Finn's as well, so I'm just going to make sure that... Stephen, you can pick up a microphone for a second if you like, you know. There you go. How you doing? You all right?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I was just watching the panic ensue there. We're having a very sophisticated conversation, and all of a sudden we're live on air and we're watching the cricket. But
Shall I tell you what's happening? 272 for 5 is the score. Usman Khawaja is still there. 114 not out. Alex Carey's on 31. We did think a few minutes ago that Usman Khawaja was bowled by Stuart Broad, only his second delivery with the new ball, Finney. But you said straight away the umpire is looking at that front crease.
Yeah, you can always tell when an umpire walks straight towards his umpiring cohort at square leg. You know that there's no qualms with the delivery and everything's legitimate, but Murray Erasmus was looking around the crease as if to try and imagine where Stuart Broad's footmark would have been, whilst having his finger to his ear listening to the third umpire, who would have been telling him Broad's close here, keep an eye on things, and then they double checked the replay of the delivery, and Stuart Broad's foot was probably about a millimetre over the line, which meant that it was a no ball, and Usman Khawaja got a reprieve. But at that stage, 2 overs ago, 270 for 6 would have been a fantastic position for England to find themselves in now.
Johnny Bairstow's had a very mixed day, hasn't he? Like right at the start of the day, he had that brilliant catch to get rid of Labuschagne, and we were all saying, "Oh, well, this is going to be the talking point." There was big discussion: should it have been him? Should it have been Folkes? But since then, he's dropped 2 catches. So I wonder if this could come up on your phone in with Henry Moran a little bit later.
I think there's half a chance. We're looking to cover a wide range of topics that have come out during the last 2 days of cricket, some positive, some negative, but yeah, I'm sure that the Johnny Bairstow debate will come up. There's still 5 wickets to take, and he might take 2 screamers before the end of the day, and we can put those other ones to bed. But certainly with the debate coming into the game around himself and Ben Folkes, and the selection of him in this team, and he played magnificently yesterday for his 70-odd balls, really gave England some momentum and impetus, just like he did last summer. But yeah, certainly there'll be a lot of people at home wondering why Ben Folkes isn't there, I think, after seeing those 2 chances.
You know what I wanted to ask you about? I was going to do this a bit later, but seeing as we're on air now, let's do it now. Is how careful do you have to be? Given all these players were your teammates, it's not like you were playing with them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So do you get a couple of texts?
Well, I don't know. It depends how critical I am of people. I try and retain a balanced view because we work on the BBC. It's important to be impartial, isn't it? You can't be too one-eyed when looking at things like these big sporting events. And no, I haven't received any text messages yet from my former teammates and friends. I'm good friends with a lot of the guys who are playing out there still at the moment, and you just try and give some balance. I think when you're a current player, that's a lovely shot by Usman Khawaja, crunches that through the covers and has looked a little bit freer since his reprieve as well. He moves on to 118 now, eking England towards Australia's total.
Right, much more to come from here at Edgbaston, but we can now take you back to Norway and Conor McNamara.
Scotland are keeping their cool here as Angus Gunn takes his time. You'll hear a few boos in the background as the Norwegian fans want the Norwich City goalkeeper to get on with it. He pumps it along, up over the halfway line. Ostergaard with a free header. Sends it back into Scotland territory. Brought back down onto the deck by Andy Robertson. And with Odegaard running in to put pressure on him. Nice, neat, triangular passing from Scotland brings them up to the halfway line again, but it's been given away. Callum McGregor tried to turn an opponent and lost the ball. Surlot receives it from Odegaard. Crossing position on the right, but he's got a heavy touch. And then good work from McGregor, who had given away possession to win it back again. That's going to be a Scotland throw on the far side. Norway 0, Scotland 0 on 5 Live.
Again, I think Stevie Clarke will be happy. Certainly the happier the two managers there. The fact that they've got into good positions, the Norwegians haven't been able to manipulate those good positions. And I think Scotland understand that if you get Odegaard in the ball, really close them down. 1, 2, 3, 4 people, close them down. And if you give it to the other players, they don't seem to have quite the same quality to be able to pick out Haaland in front of them.
Yeah, I've got to emphasise the word yet in this sentence, but Erling Haaland has yet to have a clear sight of goal in the game. As McTominay plays the ball from well outside the penalty area back to Angus Gunn, and it's pumped along towards Dykes, who wins a flicked-on header at the centre circle. But again, such as his isolated position in attack, that Dykes is not able to pick out a teammate there. Now he's got a chance. Ball at the feet of Lyndon Dykes. Back to goal, however. Nice, neat footwork there to skip away from the challenge of Aukenes. Scotland into the penalty area. Chance to hold it up here for Ryan Christie. Waits for support to arrive, which it does from Andy Robertson. Left-footed ball in. Dykes trying to attack it. Ostergaard did well again. And the clearance is continued by Aukenes. But Scotland, on these brief little cameos of attack, continue to ask questions of the Norwegian defence.
Yep, getting down again. It's all left-hand side. If Scotland are going to cause a problem at all, it's going to be down the left-hand side. And good work in there, good understanding between the usual two, Robertson and Tierney, but also you see McGinn's getting over there all the time as well, and they do look as if they'll get some good balls in there. Certainly a real up for Scotland in the latter part of this first half. Dykes is getting a lot more of the ball. He's holding it a lot better than he was at the start.
Added on for stoppages at the end of the first half here, 0-0 in Oslo between Norway and Scotland. And as Scotland come on the attack, it's an inopportune moment for Matchday, the referee, to blow his whistle for the break, and Scotland are disappointed that that was the moment he decided to blow the whistle, with barely the extra minute having been added on. Scotland are doing well here. They are limiting Norway chances. The superstars Odegaard and Haaland have not been able to pull the strings so far. Best chance for Alexander Surlot was saved by Angus Gunn. But on the whole, I think Steve Clarke will be rather pleased with these 45 minutes, and Scotland still on top of Group A. Pat Nevin.
If you hadn't watched a lot of Scotland before, you'd think, oh, they've got very little of the ball. They're not creating a great deal. You know, and certainly you've got 70% possession and a bit more maybe that's getting to the Norwegians. They've created one really decent chance, but in reality, this is the way Scotland do it. This is the way, they play away from home, just soak up a lot of the pressure, knowing that if they have to go in the front foot, they have the capability of doing that. They have the ability to go and hold the ball, control possession. They've not done it yet, but they know they can just flick a little switch and they can do that in their game. But certainly in this game, from this point in time, you're thinking, yeah, hold it. Is it worth having a go with 5 minutes to go if it's still a draw? Maybe even not, because a point would be great.
Scotland, as it stands, top of the group. Andy Robertson's been excellent. Everything has come through the Liverpool left back. But at the break, at the Ullevål Stadium in Oslo, it's Norway 0, Scotland 0.
Thank you very much, guys. I feel like we flicked a switch here at Edgbaston as well, because all of a sudden, with Stuart Broad with the ball in hand, things are happening, and England seem like they might be getting closer to that 6th wicket. Currently 278 for 5. Australia trailing by 115. Let's bring Roddy Forsyth back in just for a bit more on that first half in Norway. I mean, it's a very good 0-0 so far, Roddy, isn't it?
It's a very typical Steve Clarke performance, and for those who don't know or are not intimate with Steve before to him coming to Scotland, when he was at Kilmarnock in the season before he became Scotland manager, and Kilmarnock finished 3rd in the Premiership in Scotland, they lost 5-0 to Celtic in August of that season. By the end of the season, they'd beaten Celtic and they'd beaten Rangers twice. They finished 3rd. In the calendar year prior to that, they had more points than any other team except Celtic. And that's what I mean when I'm saying it's a Steve Clarke performance. He builds in percentages. He was happy for the first 20 minutes of the game for Scotland to sit off the ball. They almost had nothing in the Norwegian half whatsoever. Then, as Pat and Evan said, there was almost as though a switch was flicked in the 20th minute, and suddenly, for the first time, we began to see them. They've had a much lower share of possession. They've had fewer attempts on target, but they are leading on corner kicks, and you would expect, knowing Steve, for them to begin cautiously again, but to open up more quickly in the second half, and perhaps get more from Lyndon Dykes. That's the one thing that you could say that they have arguably needed in this first half.
Roddy, thank you very much indeed. As if you knew we were just talking about football, Jimmy Anderson's just done 5 kick-ups with the ball before throwing it back to Stuart Broad, who is back ready to thunder in again. Ellie Aldroyd, Stephen Finn with us on 5 Live. Just feel like switch has been flicked and it's starting to get a bit more dangerous for these Australian batsmen, Steve.
Well, yeah, the new ball was taken 4.5 overs ago. Stuart Broad got that wicket. That's a lovely shot down the ground by Alex Carey. Full face of the bat through mid-on. Beautiful. Advances the Australian score again to 282. But yeah, 5 overs ago, the new ball was taken. And generally there's a period between the 70th and 80th over where the game just drifts a little bit. Harry Brook came on to bowl, Joe Root came on to bowl. And it's just a waiting game, waiting for this new ball to see if it zips around, to see if you can create that bit of extra atmosphere to get the wicket. And England did, but Stuart Broad overstepped, and that just might have just sucked the wind out of their sails slightly. And Australia now building this partnership between Khawaja and Carey, 62 it's worth. And England aren't looking too far in the distance now to the Australians.
Yeah, 111 is the lead still for England. Jimmy Anderson bowling from the City end. It's quite unusual to see Jimmy Anderson not taking a wicket so far in this innings.
Yeah, he's been disciplined. There's not much in it for the seamers. We've got to remember that. I think the spinners have actually looked like doing the most damage. Stuart Broad took 2 in 2 earlier. But outside of that, it's been a pretty benign surface for the seamers, and without that extra pace and the extra zip of someone like Mark Wood in this attack, which people talked about when it was picked, whether in situations like this you need that extra pace. But without that in the attack, it can be just a waiting game and a patience game, and that's what the England seamers have done today. Jimmy Anderson, 13.1 overs for 28, just over 2 runs an over, so it's been turgid. But the Australians have been dogged, and no one more so than Usman Khawaja.
Dogged up until the point where he scored his 100. We've just seen the reaction again to that, which was absolutely remarkable. I mean, he came charging down the pitch to celebrate and then just hurled his bat seemingly about 10 metres up in the air and let it crash down on the field. So Khawaja, 119 not out off 251. Australia 282 for 5, trailing by 111. Don't forget, 7:30, our Ashes phone in. Stephen Finn will have Henry Moran with him for that. We'll let you know a little bit later when the lines are open. Norway 0, Scotland 0. We've got second half commentary on the way here on 5 Live. Elsewhere in tennis, there will be an all-British WTA final in Nottingham tomorrow. Katie Boulter will face Jodie Burridge. The last time that happened, it was Sue Barker against Virginia Wade in San Francisco in 1977. You'll be able to watch that, Boulter against Burridge, on iPlayer and the BBC Sport website and app. We'll be back shortly with more golf. The US Open continues. You can listen to live commentary of that later tonight on 5 Live, and then we'll be back in Norway for second half commentary in the European Championship qualifiers. We'll do all of that after the latest news on 5 Live with Matthew Button.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. Teachers across England will stage 2 more days of strike action next month. Members of the National Education Union will walk out on the 5th and 7th of July as part of a long-running dispute about pay. The government says more industrial action will cause further disruption for pupils and parents. The bodies of 4 members of the same family have been discovered in a flat in West London. A 3-year-old boy and a girl aged 11, along with a man and a woman, were found dead yesterday. In Hounslow, police aren't seeking anyone else in connection with the deaths. People who need to agree a new mortgage next year are being warned they face an average rise of £2,900 in their annual repayments. The Resolution Foundation think tank says further interest rate rises by the Bank of England could see a total annual mortgage repayments rise increase by almost £16 billion by 2026. And the King has taken part in his first Trooping the Colour ceremony as monarch. He rode on horseback to inspect the troops at Horse Guards Parade in central London and later watched a huge flypast by the Royal Air Force from the balcony of Buckingham Palace.
1, 2, 3, go.
Let's get cracking.
The hottest TV this summer is on BBC iPlayer.
Yes, that's impressive.
A love story like no other. Colin from Accounts.
Is that a unicycle?
Yeah.
And yours?
Yeah.
How long have you been single?
All the drama at Waterloo Road.
Numbers are falling. It's not you. You are a great teacher. I heard you were once and all. What happened?
And the fiercest makeup competition of them all. Glow Up.
This is the sort of makeup you do to stay in this competition.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Yeah, welcome back to Edgbaston. Still a beautiful sunny picture in front of us, but those showers just cast by the players all in white are just starting to look ever so slightly longer as we head into the final overs of the evening session on day 2 of the first test. Hull Kingston Rovers 28, Salford Red Devils 10 and Hull FC 18, St Helens 32. Full-time scores in the quarter-finals of the Challenge Cup earlier today. Norway 0, Scotland 0, half-time in their Euro 2024 qualifier. We'll be back there for second half commentary shortly. Ricky Fowler leads the US Open Championship after shooting a first round 62. That's the lowest score in US Open history. And here he is in his press conference ahead of this weekend's final 2 rounds.
I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's been a while since I've felt this good in a tournament, let alone a major. So it's going to be a challenge, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
When you go into the weekend with the lead at the US Open, from a mental, emotional standpoint between now and when you tee off, do you do anything different? What is kind of the ingredient there?
Yes, I'm in the lead, but we're only halfway there. So, yeah, being in the lead is nice, but it really means nothing right now. I'm looking forward to continuing to challenge myself and go out there and try and execute the best I can. Like I said, a lead right now really doesn't mean anything. It's about being in a good position after the first 2 days, obviously making the cut, having a tee time on Saturday, but we're in a great position and a little different once you get to after 54 holes, because that's when things really heat up.
That's Ricky Fowler. Let's bring in our correspondent Ian Carter from the Los Angeles Country Club. I mean, what a sentence that is, Ian, first of all. The Los Angeles Country Club.
It is someplace, Steve, I have to tell you, sort of nestling in Beverly Hills. It's a glorious morning today. Every day that I've been here so far, it's been grey and overcast, what they call the June gloom, but that's burnt away, and so a beautiful morning. And if this weather continues as it is forecast to do today, I think for the later starters it's going to make a much more difficult golf course, because any moisture will soon evaporate. It will be fast, it will be firm, the pin positions will be US Open tough, and from the spectacular low scoring of Thursday, I think we're going to get much more like a traditional US Open scenario for the weekend.
What a potential scenario we could have as well. McIlroy, who hasn't won a major since 2014, and Ricky Fowler, who, you know, many people might say is the best current player not to have won one full stop.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, Fowler has disappeared off the radar, or at least he did for a couple of years, and you know, in fact, the last 2 years wasn't even high enough ranked to get into the US Open field. But he's reunited with Butch Harmon, and Harmon has given him that confidence to start to climb back into the top 50, start to feel like a world-class player once again. And he's just been extraordinary this week. He's had 18 birdies in 2 rounds, which is an extraordinary feat. And in fact, he's only had 8 pars in the course of the first 36 holes. So there have been bogeys in there as well, but nothing worse than a bogey, and I think that's very important.
Ian, thank you very much. 11 p.m. tonight, 5 Sports Extra. Ian and the team will take you through the round of the US Open back here at Edgbaston. Not only do we have Stephen Finn, but we now have Henry Moran as well, ahead of your Big Ashes phone-in.
Yes, looking forward to it. So much to talk about as well. Missed chances, wicket off a no ball, of course, missed stumping, drop catch. England in a decent position. Should they be in an even better position? Arguably, they'll feel that this is a day where they've had opportunities, but they've not necessarily grabbed all of them. Mowing back in the side, of course. Should England have declared when they did? That's the other big question from last night. And what have we learned from the first couple of days? Finney, I can sense it. You're feeling punchy this evening.
I'm in an argumentative mood. Yeah, I've been kept on a tight leash all day, so I'm raring and ready to go. I'll get a coffee inside me, I'd imagine, just 10 minutes before we go on air. I'm willing to be challenged, so please give us a call.
That's the thing, because Ashes cricket is so much about opinion because, as always, never more so is this game in the position, well, who's winning? Goodness knows, very hard to say. So much to talk about, so many unknowns about this game, this series. We want to know what people are thinking. What do they think of the England side and how they've taken on Australia? Is Bazball working? Is this method going to work across the series?
Well, that's it. How do you see the series panning out? We've seen both teams bowl and bat for an entire day now, and you're getting a good idea of how the two teams are going to play. Australia more traditional test match cricket, albeit defensive with the ball yesterday, which might be a discussion point if we've got any Australians listening and willing to give us Englishmen a call, or vice versa, the way that England are bowling at the Australians, the traditional way the Australians are batting, but the aggressive way that England bat when they bat as well. So all of it's up for discussion.
And of course, if you've been at Edgbaston today, let us know what it's like out there, because we're up in the commentary box. We've got a wonderful view of all of it, but it's not quite the same as being in the thick of it in the Holly stand.
No, I walked under the Holly stand earlier, and it was a long line queuing for the bar. Walked round to do some world service on the other side of the ground and got a feel for the atmosphere, and it's fantastic. We're slightly shielded, being in our air-conditioned box up here behind the bowler's arm. We don't get a true reflection of what the atmosphere is like. If you've been here today, ring us and let us know what your area of the crowd was looking like and sounding like.
Simple question as well. Are you more confident now, having seen 2 days of the Ashes, about England's chances than you were 2 days ago? Finney, where are you on that?
I am actually, I am. I think I was one of the mild sceptics when it came to being able to play the Australian bowling attack in the manner that England wanted to, but Nathan Lyon went at 5 and over. He took 4 wickets, but he went for 140 runs, which probably has never happened to him on day one of a game. And I love the way that Ben Stokes has captained. He's been on the front foot the entire time. He's never let the game drift, and he's got his 2 premier bowlers now steaming in with the second new ball, hoping to make inroads whilst the lead is still 101.
08085 909 693 will be the number to give us a call this evening. As I say, he's going to have a coffee inside him. He's feeling argumentative.
Bring it on, baby.
Oh, wow. Bring it on, baby. I really want to hear you go toe-to-toe with an Australian fan calling in.
More than welcome. Please do.
That's not as aggressive as we talked about.
It's a very English way of doing it. I kill them with kindness, that's what I say.
08085 909 693. Henry and Stephen with you from 7:30 for their Ashes phone, and you can also text 85058. Right, we're ready to go for second half commentary in Norway. Conor McNamara.
Yes, Erling Haaland leading out the Norwegian team ahead of the second half. We are 2.5 games into Scotland's Group A campaign in the qualifiers for next summer's Euros. 2.5 games in, Pat Nevin, 0 goals conceded.
Yeah, and for those who are listening, it sounds like Scotland are not having much joy going forward, but that's just the deal. That's just the way Scotland play. It's quite defensive, but knowing that it's kind of grown up as well. You understand when you're going to get a little bit of pressure against you. You work hard to kill all the spaces, give away very few chances. You can't kill all the chances, but when you break, you try and break with some numbers. And as Roddy Forsyth was saying a few moments ago, that's exactly what Scotland will try and do a little bit more in the second half.
Scotland back out. We're about to resume. Doesn't look to be any changes in personnel. Norway 0, Scotland 0. Apologies for the technical difficulties we had just ahead of half-time. Just to illustrate how warm it is here in Oslo, the reason our commentary fell off air was all the equipment had overheated. That is how warm it is here in Norway on this Saturday evening. Back underway. The Norwegians in their traditional red, playing from left to right as we look down. Scotland in the change strip, all white, as McGregor lunges into a challenge and wins the free kick for his team. Free kick to Scotland just inside the Norway half.
Do you notice about McGregor? He's wearing a shirt under his shirt.
I saw that in the warm-up, yeah.
Extraordinary.
I'm hot just looking at him wearing a shirt under his shirt. We mentioned earlier on there's a stall outside selling thick, heavy woolen scarves in Norwegian colours. Very attractive scarves. Nearly tempted to buy one myself. Today, not the day for a scarf.
No, I don't know how much. I mean, I'm trying to look around and see if I can see it. I've seen one guy.
They held them up earlier on singing songs, but no one's wearing them, no.
It would be a silly thing to do. Even in the middle of the night here, you can't wear them.
Little Norwegian blonde-haired kids making their way back to their seats, having consumed what they could down in the concourse. I've seen quite a few Manchester City shirts here as well, which people won't be surprised with the Haaland influence. Here is Odegaard. I'm sure there's one or two Arsenal shirts for the Norwegian fans too. What a season he's had at club level, and Arsenal fans hoping that Odegaard can move to even higher levels in the next campaign. But today he's on international duty, and for all their possession, Norway struggling to break Scotland down.
It's very noticeable that Scotland are not man-to-man marking Haaland at all. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it needs to be...
Oh, he's done well here. Haaland lays it off, and then an attempted shot, first time from Solbakken, diving down to his left. Angus Gunn made the save.
Well, they're passing him on. He went over, first of all, he goes straight on Tierney. Then Tierney says, OK, I'll mark you. Then he moves over to Porteous. Then he moves on to Henry. They're not panicking. They're just passing him on, kind of like you would any centre forward. They're not getting... Andy Roxburgh used to say the phrase, don't get all psychedelic about them. I think they're not getting all psychedelic about Haaland. They're just playing him like a centre forward, just keeping a special eye on him, when he's in their area.
Erling Haaland playing his first international game in 9 months, and he hasn't done much to make the home fans swoon just yet, but there's always that threat, and we know well for the Premier League, he just needs one chance, and he will take it. Erling Haaland with 52 goals in his 53 games for Manchester City. But this is John McGinn, and he lets fly from the edge of the penalty area, and it bounced off the chest of Nyland, but the goalkeeper was able to save second time. It was straight at him. McGinn from a long way out with a shot on target for Scotland.
Well, the ball was played up to him about 35 yards out, and, well, we know what he does. He does the same thing every time. He just rolls. He feels the player behind him and rolls him. Gets himself into a good position there, and that's... Again, the two chances that Scotland have had to have shot and goal so far in this game have both been John McGinn. He gets himself into great positions.
Yeah, 16 international goals for John McGinn, and he'll be a player that the video analysis for Norway would have kept an eye on. Odegaard nearly picks out Haaland. He tried to thread in a pass. There was a crucial Scottish interception there. Haaland was away. There's no way they would have caught him, but the pass never made its way through.
These passes are millimetres. They have to be done at the right second, at the right time, at the right pace, and just a little bit too quick. Panic trying to get the ball through there, but it was close.
Down the other end, Lyndon Dykes has got in around the back of Ostergaard. He's supported by Ryan Christie. Christie into the penalty area, no support here at all. Tries a little Cruyff turn by the byline, and he's managed to play it off a defender's leg for a corner. Corner to Scotland on the right-hand side. We've played 4 minutes in the second half. Norway 0, Scotland 0.
Again, this time Dykes a little bit more. His hold-up play is getting better. I mean, he won't last the game because it's hot out there, and especially if you're out on your own all the way through it. But he's certainly taken out the play, but I don't think it was deliberate. So the referees had a look at that and thought, carry on.
Speaking of the temperatures and Callum McGregor wearing the shirt under his shirt, we'll come back to it after this corner, but I've noticed something down in the Scotland technical area. Corner to Scotland. Busy penalty area waits because Norway have brought everyone back, and Scotland have sent everyone apart from Andy Robertson forward. Robertson is back near the centre circle. Every other Scotland outfield player is in around the penalty area, as here comes the delivery low into the box. McGinn, a reverse move that doesn't work out. He's returned pass to Christie, doesn't pick out his teammate,
and Haaland's
the ball
free.
is cleared away by Berger Mele.
Haaland's, honestly, he just gets himself free all the time.
Here he is, Erling Haaland, 15 yards into the Scotland half, manages to get the ball away just about from McTominay. McTominay has a nibble on him, takes down Erling Haaland. Little Manchester derby duel there, free kick to the Norwegian.
Again, I'm not 100% sure about that. Haaland puts himself, he pushes McTominay first, who decides to... No, I'm just going to say it. Haaland dived. Full stop, dived. Never should have been a free kick. Yeah. Absolute nonsense.
He almost sort of trod on the ball, didn't he? But he was going down. Yeah. That was not a foul by McTominay. However, it has been given as such.
Well, I mentioned about Dykes isn't getting them. Haaland is.
Free kick. Odegaard standing over it. The Arsenal player sends it in. Free header. Ostergaard just wide. The defender who got his first ever international goal in November against Ireland should have given Norway the lead there.
However, he was only one of 5 who was offside, I would argue.
It wouldn't have counted anyway.
I don't think it would have counted. But you never know. You'll look at the VAR, and if they time it right, you can sometimes get it wrong. But would you agree? 5?
Well, there was 5 off. He was the least off of all of them, but he was still off. As Scotland stepped up. 0-0 it remains in Oslo. Here's Stefan Strandberg. under pressure from John McGinn, does well to turn, swivels the byline, clears away. He was hoping to keep it in play for Ryerson, but it goes out for a throw-in. Throw-in for Scotland, close to the edge of the penalty area. They attack down the left-hand side. Andy Robertson, the Scotland captain, to take, just swivels the ball in between his fingertips. Waits for the movement of teammates, sends it in towards Dykes. Dykes headed down, goes straight out for a goal kick. Toothless attack from Scotland on that occasion. So 52 minutes on the clock here. No goals in Group A in Oslo in the qualifiers for Euro 2024. Let's go back to the cricket and Eleanor Oldroyd.
The Australian 300 is up there, 304 for 5, so they trail by 89 runs now, and this partnership between Khawaja and Carey is 83 runs, Khawaja on 126, and Alex Carey, who's moved smoothly to 44 of 64 balls. Moeen Ali is back on because Broad and Anderson have gone wicketless with the new ball. 304 for 5, and we've got another 5 overs left.
Alex Ali, ball-by-ball commentary on Sports Extra. And today at the test on BBC Two television at 7:25. Pat Nevins alongside me.
Do you know what? The referee is so excitable. The free kick he gave for Haaland, which was no one near him, right? He throws himself down. It's one of those referees, see if you go to ground and you roll a wee bit, he goes for his card. Tierney's made a tackle there and gets a bit of the ball. Because the defender, the guy running past him, has rolled as if he was like obviously taken out, and he wasn't taken out. He's reached for his card again. It's nowhere near a yellow card. It's nonsense.
Tierney, Hendry and McGinn now all booked for Scotland. Norway haven't had any yellow cards in the match. We've played 8-9 minutes in this second period. A stretching pass by Patrick Berg. Comes down awkwardly for Bergen Mealing. Keeps it in play initially, plays it off Scotland opponent Aaron Hickey. Hickey, who doesn't get forward with the sort of regularity that Robertson does on the left-hand side, but he's managed to keep Ola Solbakken, the left winger for Norway, very quiet from a defensive point of view.
He's well capable of doing it, though. Absolutely well capable of flying forward, Hickey, but that's not his job at the moment to do that, and I suppose he's not got as great an understanding as the left-hand side have got. I mean, the strength of the left-hand side of Scotland is incredible, so Hickey has to be a little bit more defensive.
Aaron Hickey, who made 26 Premier League appearances this past campaign for Brentford, who finished in the top 10. Here is Sherlock down the right-hand side. Plenty of defenders back for Scotland. Julian Ryerson, edge of the penalty area, retreats back to Auchness. Here is Odegaard. Ryerson again, up from right back. Short ball to Sherlock. Little increase in pace of these passes from Norway, but when the cross comes in from Julian Ryerson, it's too close to gun, and no opponent near him as he plucks it from the sky. 0-0.
That was kind of you to say. It was actually a very, very poor cross. He was under no pressure at all. You've got Erling Haaland to aim at, and you just basically lob it into the goalkeeper 15 yards away from where Haaland was. And again, you keep on going back to it. Norway's problem, if you're a Norway fan listening just now, is there's no real quality so far to get the ball to Haaland, unless it's going to be Odegaard, but Odegaard has really been closed down well.
As I mentioned the first half, myself and Pat in our retro tiny commentary box here at the Ullevall Stadium. Scotland fans, the Tartan Army away to our right-hand side, have just had that sun blazing at them throughout the afternoon. So many with the tops off. I hope there's plenty after sun in the hotel later on. But, you know, there's this hope. If Scotland could nick a goal, if they could make it 3 wins out of 3, well, it could be a very exciting summer in Germany next year at Euro 2024. Ryerson has possession on the right-hand side. This has been a very controlled performance from Steve Clarke's team so far. They've not taken unnecessary risks. Here's danger, though. Haaland veering, trying to get it onto his left boot. Hendry might have taken him down. There's appeals for a penalty. On-field decision is no. I'm sure the VAR will look at this, though, because Hendry seemed to be dragged along by Haaland. Was he clinging onto him as the Manchester City player went into the penalty area? The boos and the cheers around the stadium.
I have to say, beforehand, I was having a dig at Haaland for going down too easily. But well done, Erling, this time. You didn't make a meal of it. You tried to be strong. You tried to stay up. And had he got a penalty there, it wouldn't have been a shock. I mean, it would have been soft, to be fair. It would have been quite soft, but there was contact.
He's holding onto his arm. I'll tell you why VAR has so quickly said get on with this. The initial tug of the arm is just by inches outside the penalty area. And remember, VAR can only get involved if the altercation is in the box. VAR can't give a free kick, no matter how blatant the foul might be. So maybe, just maybe, Jack Hendry's got away with one there for being fractionally outside the box.
He's not done a lot wrong today, Henry. Obviously, he's got that yellow card beforehand, but not unlike a lot of centre-backs, he does panic a little bit when Erling Haaland's got the ball beside him.
I don't blame him for that one. This is 5 Live for the BBC. Norway 0, Scotland 0.
I'm intrigued with one thing, though. I mean, at the moment, again, Norway have started the second half with good energy about them. You would question, can they keep it up? Strength and depth of that squad, is it good enough, really? Now look at Scotland's strength and depth, it's very good. I mean, they've got good players that can hold the ball in that midfield, and I wouldn't be surprised if 65, maybe 10 more minutes, Stevie Clark might make a couple of changes, and that could have a positive reaction with their getting them more ball up the field.
Yeah, the heat here, there's no breeze at all. It's a bowl of a stadium. There's no gaps in it for the air to try and come in, and you can imagine that the energy will be sapping on both teams. That's brilliant from Robertson. One side of the defender, runs around the other, cuts it back from the byline, and Strandberg with a very important lunge. Well, his distribution has been questionable today, Stefan Strandberg, but moments like that, when he makes blocks, he shows why he's in the team. Robertson, full of tricks down the left, showing his class, but unable to pick out a teammate from the byline.
I'll tell you, any jinky winger will be happy with that play. He's got two players on him. He just goes by them as if they aren't there. Blistering pace, but there's a nice little drop at the shoulder as well. Control of the ball the whole time, and he's always looking up. He's had 4 looks up in 6 yards there, but he still couldn't see a free white shirt.
Right, we've just got a delay in play here. The referee is encouraging players to come and have a drink. We've mentioned the heat. While we've got this delay, Pat, I think it's right that we mentioned Gordon McQueen, who died this past week. Steve Clark called him a giant of a man, and I know that someone who's very much close to the affections and the heart of all of Scottish football.
He is the epitome of what the Tartan Army fans feel a Scotland player should be, giving everything, heart and soul, for his team. But of course, it wasn't just that. It was Leeds United, it was Manchester United, all the teams he played for. He was an incredibly committed player and selfless man in a team, and as I say, the perfect example of the Braveheart spirit, who will be greatly missed.
Yes, our thoughts with Gordon McQueen, who's passed away this week, and his family as well at this difficult time. Very popular figure in Scottish football. Norway 0, Scotland 0, almost an hour played. The game back underway as McGregor, recent treble winner with Celtic, plays the ball back to Hendry, all the way back to Angus Gunn, who then launches it long. We mentioned a few times in the first half that the sun was in the eyes of the Norwegian players. In this second half, it's in the eyes of the Scottish defender and goalkeeper. Here is Surlot down the right-hand side, has a little trick, down goes Haaland to the box, Porteous the defender, the referee points to the spot. The ball was nowhere near them. It was coming in, but it hadn't reached them. Haaland belly flopping down onto the ground, and Porteous doesn't complain all that much, which would suggest that maybe he knows. Penalty to Norway. Big chance of a breakthrough.
Yeah, he's got on the wrong side though, and Haaland, tiny little bit of movement there, nothing more. And all Porteous has done is actually put his arms towards him. It's not a real big drag back, but it's enough. He's got a little bit of the shot. That's enough. He's thrown himself to the ground. You know he's thrown himself. It's not the drag that's done that. The arm's inside the box, and if you do it inside the box, you know what the result's going to be.
So, big turning point in events. Yellow card too for Ryan Porteous. The Watford defender with the lunge and the tug on Erling Haaland, and now the Manchester City number 9 has his moment back on home soil on his first international appearance in 9 months, having gone and scored virtually a goal a game across all competitions for Pep Guardiola since he's moved to England. Now all of Norway expects Erling Haaland to score from 12 yards against Angus Gunn, who in his youth was on Manchester City's books. Left-footed penalty from Erling Haaland, scores into the bottom left corner. Angus Gunn did choose the right side, but it was very well struck from Erling Haaland. Back into Norway's shirt and back in the goals. Norway 1, Scotland 0.
The keeper goes the right way, but the power and the pace of that penalty kick zipped into the bottom corners. Certainly hit the side net in there. It's a wonderful penalty kick, and Scotland's a hard one to take. Can't complain too much. They're nowhere near as much of the ball as the opposition. But for Stevie Clarke, he'll think that was a bit soft. There wasn't a lot in it. But Harlan's very, very clever, isn't he? Just gets in front of the defender. As soon as he feels anything at all, throws himself to the ground. And you just knew the referee wasn't going to change his mind in that one.
You know, in the build-up to this game, there was almost an apologetic tone from presenter Steve Crossman when we were speaking about Haaland, because it's such an obvious sort of talking point, and what hasn't been said about this incredible striker. But again, he's the one who takes centre stage. 22 international goals now in this, his 24th cap for his country, and it doesn't matter if it's Molde, if it's Salzburg, if it's Dortmund, if it's Manchester City, if it's the Norwegian national shirt, doesn't matter where he plays, Erling Haaland scores goals.
And you'd almost give him the assist to his own goal there, because he gets a penalty kick. I mean, it was a good cross ball. The question would be, has he, if he wasn't touched at all, would he have gotten the end of that and scored the goal? I suspect yes. I suspect absolutely yes. So that's why the referee won't change his mind in that, even though it was a minimal touch, it was enough.
Right, a change for Norway. Familiar name coming on, Sander Berge of Sheffield United. He'll be back in the Premier League at Bramall Lane at the start of the season in August, having won promotion from the Championship. Sander Berge has come on in place of Ola Solbakken, so that's the left winger off and a more defensively minded midfielder on. And Stella Solbakken, obviously delighted to have broken the deadlock here and to see his team in front. He's now got to pack that midfield and make it even more difficult for Scotland to try and get back on level terms. There's plenty of time to go here. By the time the additionals are added on, the bones of half an hour to go. But Scotland's task now more difficult as Lyndon Dykes leans over the top of the defender and gives away a free kick to Norway, right full-back position for them.
Yeah, I think Kieran Tierney will be coming off very soon. If that's possibly a little bit of cramp that he's got there, and we can see Cooper is warming up. So, well, warming up, that means standing still.
Probably trying to cool down in these temperatures. Right, Scotland preparing to make the change. While that happens, let's go back to Edgbaston and Ellie Oldroyd.
And 309 for 5 for Australia. They are 84 runs behind England, just eating into that lead all the time. Alex Carey's reached his 50, but he just reached it with a shot that just nibbled between Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow behind the stumps. So possibly a chance for the two men behind the stumps. But anyway, he is still there on 50. Usman Khawaja on 126. The partnership now is 89 between those two. And we've got one more over left after this Ollie Robinson over, and Australia, I think you will say, will feel very pleased with how today has gone. 309 for 5.
Thanks very much, Ellie. So confirmation, Tierney off, Cooper on. Liam Cooper of recently relegated Leeds United comes on for this final half hour in Oslo. As things stand in Group A, Scotland's opening 2 wins mean even if they lose here, they'll be still top of the group tonight. They'll be 2 points ahead of Norway, who, if they can get the 3 points, will move to 4, move ahead of Spain, who aren't in action today. Georgia will play Cyprus later on this evening, and those are the two at the foot of this qualifying group. Here's Haaland, whose goal separates the teams, picks it up 10 yards inside his own half, rolls it to Odegaard on the right. Now look at Haaland go. Odegaard sees him in his peripheral vision, scoops it forward, too high really, needed to come in low, and Robertson was able to rise and touch a header back to Angus Gunn, but that was dangerous.
I was trying to see who tried to block Haaland there, and he basically ran over him. And I'm going to go a long time back, like Jonah Lomu used to run under, just go through people there. When he gets going, he's so strong, he's so fast, he's so powerful, he's bordering on unstoppable.
Right, well, if you're late to our coverage here, Norway leading by a goal to nil. Scotland, who've been doing well before that penalty that separates the teams, coming just after the hour mark. Andy Robertson having a storming game on the left, but overall, in these 65 minutes, Pat, have Scotland created enough chances?
No, they haven't, because then that's the way they play, hoping that we get to these last 20 minutes, in level terms. But that penalty has changed absolutely everything for Scotland. And what will Stevie Clarke do now? does he really ask his players to go for it, knowing that there's another game on Tuesday night that's as important, if not more important, to get the 3 points from? I think he'll want to certainly at some point have a little bit of a dig at this.
Scotland play Georgia at Hampden on Tuesday. Now here comes Aaron Hickey. This is about as far up the field as we've seen him today, veering into a central location from the right-hand side. That creates a bit of space for Porteous. Porteous back to Callum McGregor. Norway sitting as deep as they've done all day. Dykes tries to flick it on for McTominay. Ostergaard did well inside the penalty area, but it's not cleared. Down goes Hickey. Referee says play on initially. Scotland trying to keep this chance resuscitated as McGregor's header on the edge of the box goes straight to Ostergaard. I wonder, had Scotland stopped there, would they have got the free kick when Hickey went down? Anyway, play continues. Scotland still have it, but a bit deeper now. McGregor to Robertson, who's forced to roll it back to the halfway line.
To be honest, I'm on the referee's side in this one. I think Hickey went to ground far too easily there. And even though it was on the edge of the box, referee was sharp. Got that one right.
So, 1-0 to Norway, midway through the second half. Cooper, who's come on for the injured Tierney, still 3 at the back for Scotland. He's along with Hendry and Porteous. The 2 wing-backs pushing on even more now. Robertson on the left and Hickey on the right-hand side. Losing this game would not be a catastrophe for Scotland, but obviously if they could get back on level terms, it would really shore up that position at the top of the group. Just seeing the possession stats, Norway with almost twice as much of the ball in this game that Scotland have had, which isn't surprising. This is Porteous on the right-hand side.
In many ways, Scotland gave them the ball in the first half, but they're not doing that now. Scotland are trying to get possession on. It's now a 3 at the back, and a little bit of cover from McGregor in front. And as you correctly said, Scotland's wing-backs, they're not standing in line with their centre-backs now. They're trying to get up the field. They're trying to ask the questions. The problem is there's a massive other question with Erling Haaland. If you give him space now, he's got more space to run into.
Right, it's not all over here yet. Scotland a goal behind in Oslo. However, at the cricket, Eleanor Oldroyd.
It is over for the day in beautiful sunshine in Birmingham, and Australia 311 for 5 at the close. So they're 82 runs behind England. I think England had the best of the first session, but then Australia have pretty much had it their own way since lunch. Just 2 wickets falling since then, both going to Moeen Ali, and you can hear the applause for Usman Khawaja, who is leaving the field on 126 not out, his first Ashes century in this country. Alex Carey with 52. They put on 91 together so far. It's the third 50-plus partnership of the innings for Australia, and this, I think, has been absolutely crucial for them today. 311 for 5 at the close. You will be able to give your views to Stephen Finn and Henry Moran in 6:06 at 7:30. So that's an Ashes phone-in with Henry Moran and Stephen Finn, who promises to be on fighting form on 08085 909 693. Lines are open now.
Thanks very much, Eleanor. Here in Oslo, another chance for Norway. Sirlott's attempt deflected narrowly wide, and for a moment there Angus Gunn was worried that was going to deflect into the bottom corner, but out for a corner it goes. Norway leading Scotland 1-0.
Yeah, and they can see they're much more relaxed now. Very unlucky there with the ball. I think it takes a deflection. It does take a deflection, and that means the goalkeeper Gunn would have had no chance of getting on the end of it, but you can see the gaps beginning to open now in that Scotland defence. It's I suppose I don't know how much it matters if you lose 1 or 2. Might as well have some go now.
Auction's just gone across to take the corner on the far side. Here it comes, right-footed, in swinging, headed just wide off Sander Berge of Sheffield United, who is a giant, and from close range he'll be disappointed not to have gotten that on target.
It's looking a little bit ragged now in the defence there. Scotland are the player who falls down in the box there. Was it Cooper? I'm trying to see who it was. Didn't get a free kick. Referees having nothing of it whatsoever. But you need to stay strong if you're a defender.
We're seeing the replay here. I think he doesn't see the ball coming. The defender jumps in front of him, and it's almost like the ball hits the head of Sander Berge rather than he forcing a header. But that was a huge chance to double Norway's lead.
I can remember him saying originally, although his height, he's not great in the air. I remember him saying that, and well, go and learn, mate. If you've got that sort of advantage, you might as well learn to be good in the air, because the chances will come, and he had one there. And you've got to say that's 3, maybe 4 clear-cut chances that the Norwegians have had, and Scotland are hanging on a little bit now.
Sander Berge, who got 7 goals for Sheffield United on their way back up to the Premier League. But this game remains at 1-0 to Norway here, and still in the balance. Ryerson on the right-hand side, cuts back under pressure from John McGinn. And the ball is cleared by Patrick Bird. Good close touch control by Alexander Sørloth to spin away from two defenders. Robertson's been hurt in that exchange, and he's holding his left shin ankle area. He's trying to hobble back into position, Andy Robertson, but he clearly got a bang there. Norway play on.
It's not what Scotland need. Ready to get Tierney off. Big game coming up on Tuesday, and I think he's had his foot trodden on. I think that's Robertson. He's not looking towards the bench, but he's certainly in a bit of pain.
Yeah, he's made it tough stuff, we know that, but at every opportunity he's just bending down and he's sort of massaging his hand around that lower shin ankle area. As the ball is flicked cleverly, scooped off the toe by Odegaard. Norway beginning to show a few party pieces as they move back into the Scotland half once again. Norway 1, Scotland 0. Norway hoping that today's the day that brings their first win in this qualifying group. Pressure really on Ståle Solbakken team today, because Norway were to lose this match, their qualification hopes through this group would be virtually over. Now Haaland's made a good run here, but the pass is too far in front of him by Auknes, and it runs through to Angus Gunn.
But it was on. It was absolutely on. On those occasions there, you fire it into Haaland's feet. Don't worry about him. He'll be able to control it. He's got such phenomenal control. And yes, slightly worrying for Scotland.
Worrying for Scotland, worrying for Liverpool fans. A long way to go to the start of next season, but they won't like to see Andy Robertson, who's, I think it's fair to say, has been Scotland's standout performer in the match. He is down. He's tried to run off this injury, but he's accepting that at the very least here he's going to need treatment, and a little look towards the bench there to suggest that he may not be able to continue.
The thing is, he did try and run off, you're absolutely right, but it's a good chance for Stevie Clarke to go out there and make any adaptations. He's going to have to make some changes if he's going to have any effect in this game. And so far, the one change he has made has not been a positive one. It's not been one that's going to add any danger going forward. Actually, I'm trying to see, was it Cooper that kicked him? Just trying to see, we got a little bit of... actually, to be honest, it may well have been Robertson trying to go for a ball, missed it, and hit the offender. I think, I'm trying to see who it was. It was possibly Sørloth. He's kicked him there, but he's come out worse.
He's been hurt by the impact. Okay, well, the medical staff have done their patching up as best they can. Porteous is taking advantage of the break to change his shorts down there, and Robertson, it would appear, wants to at the very least continue.
But Scotland have got two players off the pitch at the moment.
No, that's a substitute actually.
He's got his kit ready to come on. Are you sure about that?
No, not actually sure.
It's Cooper, isn't it? It wasn't a sub. He's back on. We had two off there.
Well, the referee could have made them wait for the play to be back underway, but I think there's a bit of mercy being shown for the circumstance, and both defenders back on.
It's hard enough against Haaland, mate. When two of your defenders are off.
Jack Hendry going to any chance he can get on as soon as you can. Right, just over a quarter of an hour to play in this Euro 2024 qualifier. Baking hot day in Oslo. Tartan Army, who've been exposed to the sun beaming down on them throughout the afternoon. They've given the vocal support to their team. A difficult assignment with Odegaard and Haaland in the team for Norway, and it's Haaland's goal from the penalty spot that separates these teams. Can Scotland make it an exciting finish? Dykes does some good battling. Christie unable to bring it away from him though, and Østegård is very firm and wins possession back for Norway on the edge of his own penalty area.
Well, I think the two changes that Stevie Clarke looks to be making just now are two that I would absolutely agree with. It's a possibility of Billy Gilmour might come on. They need somebody that can hold the ball and get a little bit of control of the ball in the midfield. Scotland haven't had enough of it in this game so far, and that's one thing that Gilmour is well capable of at any level.
It's a reminder how these qualifiers work. 20 teams get into the finals in Germany next summer via the 10 groups, so the top two automatically qualify. Here's Haaland, edge of the penalty area, nice ball through to Auknes. Auknes tries to pull it back again, but too many white shirts in the way, and Jack Hendry is able to intercept. So Scotland, even if they were to lose here, would remain top of the group, but remember they still have to travel to Spain in October. They still have to host Norway in Glasgow. Jack Hendry into the Norwegian half. Norway, who were so high pressing when the game was at 0-0. Now more content to sit with 5 in the midfield, and Haaland increasingly looks isolated up front as Solbakk's team tried to hold on to this 1-goal lead. McGregor back to Jack Hendry, to the right-hand side. Hickey, short ball to Callum McGregor once again. Now Porteous, crossing position, but Sanderberger right in front of him, and McGregor nearly lost it there. Scotland forced back into their own half once again. 76 minutes on the clock. Norway 1, Scotland 0. This is Liam Cooper, who's the oldest player in this current Scotland squad. McGregor to Scott McTominay, allowed to turn in the midfield, gets his head up, sees that Robertson has got some space. This will tell if he's fully fit or not. Tries to take on Ryerson. Robertson unable to get around the other side. Ryerson of Dortmund twists and turns, finds a little bit of room, and it's cleverly played away by Martin Odegaard to Surlot, who's got very good control for a big man, and he spins away from Robertson. Robertson unable to sprint back with him. Surlot veers in field, and Norway look comfortable on the ball at the moment, holding on to this 1-goal lead in Oslo on 5 Live.
Yeah, at the moment Scotland have got 3 subs waiting to come on just now, and they're desperate to do it at this point in time because, you know, there's a lot of tiredness out there in white shirts, understandably so, a few in red as well. But the referee's going to get a chance to slow the game down. Substitutions been made as Norway kick the ball out.
Right, 3 changes, all in one go for Scotland here. Billy Gilmore of Brighton, Stuart Armstrong of recently relegated Southampton, and Kenny McLean of Norwich City are the 3 who are going to come on. And McGregor makes his way off. Just going to confirm here because it's confusing. A lot of players are coming over to get a drink as well, so not 100% clear. Ryan Christie is going to be one of those who leaves the pitch.
I think that'll be Armstrong for him, won't it?
Yeah.
It's almost a stick on for that one.
And Ryan Porteous, so one of the 3 central defenders being sacrificed here as Scotland look to bring on Kenny McLean into the midfield. So Gilmore for McGregor, Armstrong for Christie, and McLean in for Porteous. One last big push now from Steve Clarke's team to try and get a draw here in Norway.
Yeah, and as maybe suspected, you know, there's 10-12 minutes to go. Scotland go to a back 4. It's brave to do that, you know, when you've got Haaland up front, but, you know, it's worth it. Have a little bit of a dig, get a little bit more in midfield there. You've got an extra body in there. The way Scotland usually play it is they try and get somebody like Armstrong up front to help Dykes and playing a diamond in midfield, and looks as if that's the way it might actually go just now. McGinn's playing a little bit further up, and McGinn's getting himself right beside Dykes as much as he can.
Right, while that was happening, Norway made a change too, and a familiar name for Scotland fans, Mohamed Elyounoussi, who had a loan spell at Celtic, won the treble during his time in Glasgow in 2020. He has come on in place of Alexander Surlot, who I thought had a good game out of position on the right wing. As Cooper here holds his ground against the presence of Haaland and heads the ball back to Angus Gunn in the Scotland goal away to our right-hand side. Haaland's penalty, the difference between the teams. This is Hickey. He's clearly been fouled by Auknes. Referee blows the whistle. Free kick to Scotland midway inside their own half. Just to remember, a reminder that England will play North Macedonia, the game in Manchester on Monday. Full commentary here on 5 Live. North Macedonia, who threw away a 2-goal lead to lose 3-2 to Ukraine last night. And Scotland next in action on Tuesday. You can hear commentary of that game at home to Georgia here on 5 Live on Tuesday night, where I believe if you were going to that game, Pat Nevin is going to be DJing ahead of the match.
I'm trying to keep it quiet. Looking forward to it.
I can assure all Scotland fans that playlists are being very carefully constructed for that gig. Speaking of music, bagpipes are beginning to be blown. Now that's in this heat, to blow a bagpipe, I don't know how you would do that.
And well, certainly, hopefully it's not a mournful lament for Scotland fans. They got a little bit of chance to create something in these last 10 minutes. Certainly Stevie Clarke's made it look much more positive looking, and on that right hand side attacking down with Hickey.
No, it's not mournful yet, is it? There's still hope for Scotland. Billy Gilmore, who seemed to be periphery for much of the season at Brighton, but got a very good run in the team for Roberto De Zerbi towards the end of the campaign, and that will certainly give him a boost and Scotland fans a boost, that Gilmore's young talent is still developing all the time. Here is Elyounoussi, fresh legs. Haaland had made a burst forward. He got in around the back of Hendry, but Elyounoussi pass wasn't close to it. Haaland chases after a lost cause up against Hickey, wins a shoulder charge. However, the referee says he's too forceful. The Brentford man hit the deck, and that's a free kick against Haaland. Free kick to Scotland, right full-back position.
It's a really dangerous position there. He knows he needs to get in front of Haaland. If he doesn't get in front of Haaland, Haaland will throw himself into the ground. Haaland's nudged him. The referee's got that right, hasn't he?
It was impressive from Haaland, though, wasn't it? I mean, it appeared to be a lost cause. It was a pass from Elyounoussi that was way behind him going out to the left wing, and he just decided, I can get this, and he sprinted out, and he very, very nearly got there ahead of Hickey.
I have to say I'm impressed with Hickey again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Taking nothing away from Hickey, absolutely, you're right, yeah.
But there's a little bit more zip about Scotland's play here. Obviously, get the fresh legs on. It's got a tiny little bit cooler, but Scotland with that extra man in midfield, they've got much more of the play, and I suppose some of the players will be thinking, we wish we'd have had this 10 minutes ago.
This is McTominay. Crossing position on the right-hand side, but not much room. Gilmour tries to return it to the Manchester United player. Comes back to Billy Gilmour, who takes on a strike. It's charged down by a defender before it enters the penalty area. Billy Gilmour, who's infamously never scored a senior goal in his career, but he was willing to take on the shot there. I think we can expect Scotland to shoot from distance now in these closing stages to try and get a 1-1 draw in Oslo. Here's Stuart Armstrong, one of the substitutes. Picks out Robertson on the left, touch to steady himself. That's a good delivery. Lyndon Dykes jumps, however, McTominay had pushed the defender in front of him, and that's going to be a free kick to Norway. That push spotted by the Slovenian referee. Norway 1, Scotland 0, 7 minutes of normal time to go. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, but I mean, much better Scotland getting into good positions there. To be honest, the defender there is clever. He just throws on the anchors, puts on the brakes, and because of that, McTominay runs into him. And it looks a little bit naive, but in actual fact it's really, really clever play. Yeah, from the defender who you called no nonsense at the start. I think he's hardly put a foot wrong for the entirety of this game, so well done him so far.
Okay, triple change occurring for the Norwegians here. Jorgen Larsson of Celta Vigo is going to come on. He's just finished his first season playing in La Liga in Spain. Christian Thorsvedt would come on, a name familiar to Tottenham fans. His dad, Eric Thorsvedt, was a goalkeeper for Spurs in the late 80s into the 90s. He had 97 caps for Norway, Thorsvedt senior. But this is his son, Christian Thorsvedt, who's a forward and comes on for his 20th cap. He plays in Belgium with Genk. And then a familiar name to supporters of Manchester United and Cardiff as well, Mats Muller-Dali. He's going to come on. Plays in Germany these days with Nuremberg, but he came through the youth academy at Manchester United as a kid. He won the Jimmy Murphy Young Player of the Year award over a decade ago at Old Trafford, and he played at Cardiff under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when the Norwegian had that spell there. So those three players are on for the home team here as Birger Milling comes in the attack down the left-hand side. Still 1-0 to Norway. The goal from the penalty spot from Erling Haaland. Here's Odegaard. Back to goal. Turns really well. Chance to shoot off his right boot. And the shot is charged down by Jack Hendry. Good lunge. Now, can Scotland try and counter-attack here? McGinn. Challenged by Odegaard. Odegaard is accused of fouling him here, and he's so upset. He's punching the turf, Odegaard, and he's screaming at the touchline. Free kick awarded to Scotland. Odegaard, who had tried the shot, who had sprinted back and ultimately committed the foul.
Odegaard's furious because he got the ball, right? Foul wasn't given against Odegaard, mate. Foul was given for the tackle that had happened 7 or 8 yards before that, so Odegaard's angry, and I understand why he is, but it wasn't you, mate. You didn't give the foul away.
Erling Haaland, one of the players who's departed. Auknes as well. And the other player who's left is Berg. Patrick Berg has departed the midfield. So that's the three changes for the home side. 5 minutes of normal time to go. Scotland, who started the group with back-to-back wins. Is this to be the first setback for Steve Clarke's team? Cooper, inside the centre circle, gives it short to Robertson. One goal could change everything. Kenny McLean. Back to Robertson once again. Norway sitting deep. Robertson into the centre circle to Cooper. Now to Jack Henry, who's been playing in Italy for much of this season. Went back to Bruges before the end of the campaign. Out of his penalty area comes Angus Gunn. Short ball to Billy Gilmour, but all that was spotted by Sander Berger, who ran in and made sure that Gilmour wasn't going to have any space there. Scotland were forced to retreat back to the goalkeeper once again. Game management now important for the Norwegians. Can they ensure that Scotland don't get one late chance here? Cooper, 15 yards outside his penalty area. Norwegian fans beginning to sing songs, feeling that a win might be within their grasp. McGinn's ball just behind McLean. Dykes is going to try and get there. He's got the toe poke and he's managed to smuggle it through. And Scotland, with less than 4 minutes of normal time remaining, have got the equaliser. And the patience of Lyndon Dykes is rewarded. He's waited for a chance like that for 86 minutes. It's finally come his way and he's taken it. A 9th international goal for the Queen's Park Rangers striker and a priceless goal for Scotland.
Stunning goal, almost out of nowhere. The ball's played through the middle, but it is a partial mistake in the middle of that Norwegian defence. Lovely little play there by, I think it was McGinn, wasn't it? But there was a muddle at the centre of that defence. Also, there's a Norwegian player goes down injured as well. I wonder if they're going to have a look at it with VAR. I'm not so sure. I don't think they were. I couldn't see anything wrong with that. But as you say, Dykes, he's kept on going, he's kept on chasing it, and because he's done that,
mistake.
Yeah, definitely Ostergaard. You mentioned it. We were talking about earlier on. His passing's been awful all the way through this game. His control of the ball's been poor as well, but his tackling's been good. Thing is his passing has let him down there. What a moment for Stevie Clarke.
You know, that is one of those number 9 goals where strikers throughout their career, they chase down lost causes just in case. And he had the determination, he had the effort and endurance this late in the game, Lyndon Dykes, to follow that up just in case it came his way. And it did. And then he had the cool head to nudge it in. Might Scotland go and make this even better? McTominay's ball into the penalty area. It's going to fall for McGinn. Back to Dykes. McLean! 2-1 Scotland! And in the blink of an eye, Steve Clarke's team have turned it around. And in the city of Munch's scream, listen to the roar of the Tartan army. Scotland are about to make it 3 wins out of 3 and remain on top of this Group A of qualifying for Euro 2024. That is an incredible comeback from 1-0 down to lead 2-1 with 90 seconds to go.
That is absolutely incredible. And the thing is, when Scotland broke up the right-hand side there, you thought they could score here. They've got so many players up. They're not being negative. They're not holding on to it. McLean comes in, that energy to come and get the follow-through from McGinn's run. Lovely play again from Dykes by Warren. Just cutting it back, leaving it in so that he just has to stroke it into the net. I looked at the Scotland fans as soon as that ball went in the net. Every one of them, instead of jumping up, were going, oh my God, they're just holding their hands to their heads and thinking, I can't believe this. I'll tell you what, I thought Stevie Clarke would leave it late until he made the changes. He seems to know what he's doing, doesn't he?
Well, you mentioned it right at the start, Pat. You know, there are no superstars to this Scotland team, but they have this team spirit, this belief, and the way they have executed that with 2 goals in an absolute blink of an eye. Dykes scored in the 87th minute, McLean scored in the 89th minute, and Norway do not know what has hit them. They were 1-0 up, they took off Erling Haaland, and now they're 2-1 down.
And they've lined up as if they're playing a rugby game. They've got 7 players on the right-hand side.
Unbelievable.
Scotland are going to take McGinn off now. They're going to go back to the back 5 again. Obviously, that's what Stevie Clarke's going to do. It makes perfect sense to do that. And they're going to get put under some pressure. However, how many extra minutes? 6 extra minutes
to be added on. McGinn, who played his part in that goal that put Scotland 2-1 up, departs. Dominic Heim comes on for his debut, the Blackburn Rovers defender. Back to 5 at the back as Norway prepared to throw the kitchen sink at it. They can't believe what's happened here. They were 1-0 up. There was 3 minutes of normal time to go. This was all over. This was done and dusted. But it never is in international football. And Scotland's belief, I mean, the McLean goal is absolutely oozes quality. The passing, the movement in the build-up. This is a new Scotland now.
They've gone it in them all the time to do that. I'll be honest with you, I didn't see it with 20 minutes to go. I really could. They were running out of energy, a lot of tired legs there. Clark makes him the sensible option just to get legs in the midfield. Then's brave enough to go for a back four. You look at this tactically afterwards and you're going to say masterstroke after masterstroke.
Yeah. Steve Clark has absolutely turned this game on his head. He will be feeling chuffed. Of course, right here, right now, he won't. He knows it's not over yet. We've played 1 of the 6 minutes being added on. I meant to come back to this point, but have you noticed all the backroom staff, all the coaches, physios, they're all wearing T-shirts. Steve Clark has kind of got this tight-fitting tracksuit top over a T-shirt. Yeah, how is he not melted down there?
I think he is melted.
I think he is.
Scotland got a little bit panicky here, though. The referee's given another free kick. It's a chance. It's about 40-45 yards out. Everyone's up. Boy, this game's taken off in the last 10-15 minutes.
I mean, sometimes you think, oh, they could go back. This was not on the cards. Did not see this coming.
Well, Scotland ran out for the last free kick, and Odegaard, who's on the ball, knows that. Scotland might try to play offside again.
It's a very high line.
It's also a very brave thing to try and do.
The referee has done the spray to show the 10 yards of the ball. All of the Scotland players, outfield players, are up on that line. Free kicks 15 yards outside the penalty area. Rolled to the left-hand side. That's dreadful. Odegaard to Melling. Head's gone for Norway here. They have made a shambles of that. Free kick in a promising attacking position, and they've gifted possession back to Scotland by just rolling it out for a goal kick. Dreadful from Odegaard.
Unthinkably bad for him, and because he's had a good game as well. And the last person you expect in that entire Norway team, and indeed on that pitch, is for him to make that pass. He's given Scotland the breather they needed there.
Tartan Army celebrating to our right. It's not over yet, but we've almost played 3 of the 6 minutes being added on. Shirts have been twirled in the air. Dancing Scots away to our right-hand side, who can scarcely believe the turnaround in events here in Oslo, where Norway were 1-0 up. They took off Erling Haaland. What must he be feeling now? I mean, in this scenario, the one thing you would think, well, we've still got Haaland, we can still go and nick a couple of goals here in stoppage time. They've taken him off.
I mean, understandable. They're important games. I think they've got another game, haven't they, come out the weekend? So, and also he's had some season. So if he's kept on and he gets injured later on, you understand the thinking. But more on top of that, Scotland just didn't look like it, did they, at that point in time? And suddenly they looked like it, and some.
Yeah, they kept this late surge quiet, Scotland, but then they let it out with a roar. Norway, who are at home again here at this stadium on Tuesday, they host Cyprus. And then in September, they've another 2 home games. They play Jordan in a friendly, then Georgia come here in this group. And Spain will come here in October. But having, come through almost their first 3 games now, it seems unfeasible for a team with Odegaard and Haaland in it to have gone 3 qualifying games in the group and not have a win to show. Just 1 point they'll have to show for it if it stays like this. But it's not over yet. 4 of the 6 minutes played. Here's Martin Odegaard, 10 yards outside the penalty area, slightly right of centre. Gives it to the right-hand side to Ryerson. He's unable to plant across into the middle. Scotland clear, anywhere will do. Strandberg picks it up. This is 5 Live for the BBC, and what is on the verge of being a very, very memorable moment for Scottish football. And who knows where this is going to lead with the European Championship finals coming next summer. McLean crunches in on Ryerson and refuses to allow him forward. It's a throw into Norway, but they're now back near the halfway line. Scotland are sitting very deep. The sun dipping at the Unival Stadium, where it's approaching 8 o'clock in the evening local time. Odegaard gets it again, tries to flick into the penalty area, but Scotland's persisting defending holds on, and Andy Robertson clears the ball away. There's no one to clear it to, though. Everyone's back for Scotland, so Norway come again. A ball drilled in. Daly's too small to get there. Now, can Stuart Armstrong relieve a bit of pressure as he dribbles the ball up to the halfway line? Up against Sander Berge. Berge gets his body in front, wins it back for Norway, but that That's given the Scotland defence a breather, and we're into the last 40 seconds of stoppages now. Pat Nevin.
And they're exhausted as well, but it's a Hail Mary ball every time now. Come on, referee, that
Launched
is
by
definitely a free
Sanderberg.
kick. Nonsense, referee.
Scotland want the free kick for the foul on Cooper, but they're not going to get it. Play continues. Robertson clears the ball away from 1-0 down. Scotland leading 2-1 here in remarkable circumstances in Oslo. The referee blows the final whistle. It is 3 wins out of 3 for Scotland in this qualifying Group A. For the Euros next summer, Steve Clarke has got a new mood, a new determination for this team. And this group of players are really turning into something special for their coach. From 1-0 down, that's a remarkable turnaround, Pat Nevin.
It is, and you could call it luck. Some people will call it luck. But it's happening very regularly with Steve Clarke now. The amount of late goals that Scotland have scored, the tactical changes he makes late in games, they always seem to work. It's absolutely astonishing. I have to say, it's worked better than he could have even dreamt of there. But when you're down 1-0, he didn't panic. He didn't do it right away. We were playing 5 at the back. Then he decides, OK, time to have a little bit of a go. 10-12 minutes to go, and goes to a back 4. Creates a lot of control in the midfield there. Brings on Gilmore. And then suddenly Scotland were all over Norway. So it's a shock and a surprise. Scotland got a draw maybe. I'd have said, yeah, that'll do. That's fantastic. But to get a win from that position, this is astonishing. And in 5 Live on Tuesday night, Scotland will be thinking, if we get 12 points out of 12 at the start of this competition, with a lot of other teams in this group all capable of taking points off each other, Scotland are very, very close already.
The goals from Dykes and McLean have made this such a memorable day for Scottish football. 3 games into the group, Cyprus, Spain and now Norway, all beaten back to back. Scotland are comfortably clear at the top of Group A. They are firmly on course to qualify for Euro 2024 as the players come to celebrate with the Tartan Army. Norway are dejected. They can't believe they've thrown this away. And despite the superstar availability of Haaland and Odegaard, it looks almost impossible now for Norway to qualify from this group.
On top of that, what they've gone towards the Scotland fans there, who have they have watched, but they have baked all afternoon. They're still in the sunshine there, and they care not a jot. They know how important that is. And for those Scotland players, I mean, the belief they've got in their fans to back them, and their own players around them, and in their manager, is absolutely extraordinary.
It's been one of the great comebacks in international football. 1-0 down in the 87th minute. Scotland have turned this around. And in the city where the sun never fully sets at this time of year, the Scotland fans are going to have some party tonight in Oslo. Norway 1, Scotland 2 it finishes.